YouTube fans? It's been a while. Haven't made a post in quite a bit of time. I've got a new job. I've been busy working, new job, whole new field. So I haven't been at the shop much. Luckily, I still have the chance to work on the truck, still in the small project stuff here at RJ's Auto Tech, and that's the purpose of today's visit. So we're going to get the truck down. Been working on a tune, thanks to Pat G. So we're gonna put a better bass tune in this thing, drop it down, start it up, and see how it runs. Do some logs. We'll see if it goes into gear. Get some transmission fluid in there and top it up, and see if it goes through the gears. Get up to temperature, check the oil, see how things are breaking in. The first bass tune a while back when we tried to get this up and going for Wheels of Danforth, I threw together very, very quickly just to see if it would fire and run, which it did, but it was very, very, very off. So now, hopefully, with thanks to Pat G, we can get this thing fired up, get it up to temperature, idling, make some logs, and start working on making this thing drivable. Then we get it down to the exhaust shop, get the exhaust done, and from there, excuse me, from there, hopefully, get the interior into it, which is being custom made, and then we can put this whole thing back together and actually do some rips, which will be in the spring. That's the goal. So for now, let's get this thing down, let's fire it up. Just fired up the laptop here. So the battery on the truck should still be fairly good. So it's been indoors and hasn't really had anything to drain it. So we're going to close the last thing I was working on. Right, so we got that loaded. We'll turn the ignition on. The battery still sounds fairly healthy. And we are going to write to vehicle. Perfect. Write complete. Close. Shut the ignition off. So we're going to go over to scanner. Start recording, and let's fire it up. Let's see how strong this battery is.
A few moments later.
Alright, so we got the truck up in the air. Had to step out for a bit, but just as we kind of let things start to heat cycle, it developed a coolant leak. So up top, one of the crossover lines, AN lines, is leaking as it starts to build pressure. But I do want to drain the oil that's in this just from all the previous startups. Running very rich or very lean, this oil, break-in oil, is due to come out. So I do want to drain this now before I do another heat cycle. Now that the truck does run and idle fairly nicely, it's got decent throttle response. Also want to order 2 new O2 sensors just because these ones are completely just carboned up pretty bad already. It does have some slight popping in the exhaust still, timing wise, I imagine, as it's kind of warming up. And I was pretty sure that this would need maybe 2 or 3 revisions on the tune to kind of iron itself out. It's going to be a while before we can get on the dyno and get a full tune that way, but at least right now it should technically be able to drive on its own power. I got to top up the transmission fluid once it's warm and try to see if we can roll through some gears. So let's change the oil in this thing really quick, then fix that leak up top, and then we'll start up again and see. Finished changing the oil, and one of these lines is probably going to be this one right here, because you can see the threads is leaking. So I'm going to just kind of re-go over these, tighten them up, and then we got to find some sort of way to get transmission fluid in here nicely. It keeps overspilling all around and not getting into the fill tube. So just kind of got to get that topped up with transmission fluid, and we can start it back up and see if it turns the wheels. Well, it goes into gear. I don't think I got any more leaks. Got the idle sort of adjusted. Started to surge there. As it starts to warm up, I can see on the tune certain cells aren't too happy. It started to surge there. So we'll go back to logs and just revisit that. But sounds very healthy. Coolant temp stayed at 185 for some strange reason. The secondary fan, when I command it on, it let's stop this log. There we go. It will pulse the relay, which is weird. And so far I haven't seen the actual fans come on their own without me commanding it through the computer. So I don't know if there's still an air pocket with the coolant temp sensor, that part of the head. Maybe it's just weird. It's reading temperature, but the fans didn't trigger on their own. I got to command it on manually, so got to look into that. And the second fan relay, if I trigger it manually with a ground pulse, works completely fine. So it's not a wiring issue per se. It's something in the tune where it's pulsing that relay enough to the point where it doesn't stay on. It's not enough for it to overcome to start the fan motor itself, but you hear it just click. So yeah, that's great. I saw the wheel spin, forward, reverse, neutral. I didn't want to romp in it just because I gotta check the transmission fluid, but that's my goal for today. So I know now it will start idle. Once it's up to temp, it will idle smooth. You can see that here, it's happy. O2 start to come back in line. I gotta change the O2 sensors now because these ones are starting to foul out just from the previous break-in that we've done. So got a fresh set in there. Get the exhaust done so that way it doesn't have a fresh air source to kind of skew those numbers. Get it back in line. I'm going to send over these logs with Pat G and just kind of give him my thoughts on some things that I'd want to tweak. The commanded idle is about 950 to 1,000, which I think is rather high. Like I said earlier, I want to bring that down some. I think 850 would be a better idle setting. So it's trying to bring it up, and I want to bring it back down where it seems happier at a lower idle. So that's going to be it for now. We're going to clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to head out. Going to do a quick oil change on the Subaru, and yeah, if you guys like seeing updates on the truck, there will be more once we can get it off. We got to get the steering wheel on it so we can actually steer the, actually I didn't show that, so we can actually steer the truck. Right now there was an issue with the steering column that's in it, so currently it's not in the best of shape, and I need to heat up the shift lever itself. As you go to shift in the gear, it does hit the key, so kind of want to bend this out of the way, make that a little bit less cumbersome to do to shift into gear. So it's really close when you go to shift down. It actually rubs the key itself and it could jam, so want to take care of that. Then we can put it on the ground and actually try to roll this thing back and forth under its own power, see how it likes the actual load. I got it logged with it off the ground, and once that's all said and done, to the exhaust shot. So it's looking good where we can start to button this thing up and have it ready for spring. So thanks for watching. Motor update on build number, God knows how many motors I've gone through now 6 liter, and we'll get the Trans Am for spring, get that ready as well. Shooting for about 850, 900 horse on the new setup, so stay tuned for that. See you guys on the next one.